we have the privilege to hear about her testimony. So it's her time to storytell. And I want to call to the stage, but don't come yet, let me introduce you. Glenia Alexandre. She serves as the Chief Operating Officer of Alexandre Law Firm, in which she owns with her husband a leading immigration law office operating in California, New York, and all over the world for over a decade. With so much experience on the field, Glenia has become a respected and sought-after professional. Apart from her successful career, she's a devoted wife to Felipe and a caring mother to their beautiful son, Vinny. Glenia is recognized for her dedication and commitment to helping individuals and families navigate the complexities of the immigration process. And if, like me, you're an immigrant, you know that that's no joke. And so, as the COO, she continues to lead Alexandre Law Firm, ensuring clients receive top-notch legal services tailored to their unique needs. And obviously, like all the women here tonight, she loves the Lord. Welcome to the stage, Glenia.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Thais, for the invitation here today and share a few words with you. Thank you, Lisa and Christina, for your wonderful words and so inspiring. I was going to tell Thais that we could end the conference with the two speakers that we had already. It was great, but I know we have other great speakers coming, and I just wanted to take 10 minutes of your time to share my story. So being here today in a position that I am, and I look back 25, 30 years ago, I could have never imagined that God would allow me to be where I am today. And I get emotional every time I think about it, and I think back from where I came from. Because life growing up in Brazil was not easy. That's where I'm originally from. I was raised from a very simple family. So coming to America was a dream come true. I came when I was 14 years old. Mom lost her husband, my father, when I was 3, so she raised 3 children alone. She got married again, and this man was crazy enough to have a dream to come to America. And he came, he stayed, he left us there after being married to Mom for 5 years only, but he had a dream. He knew that if we stayed in Brazil, we wouldn't have a good life. So he was crazy enough to come. And I was just a little girl. I didn't know what was happening. And Mom decided to come and follow him. And we stayed with Grandma and Grandpa. So to me, that was, what is Mom doing? Leaving us. So that, to me, was, they do that. Little did I know that it was for the best. So I was 12 years old when she left. And I lived with my grandfather and grandmother. And they were Christians. So if any of you had a chance to read in a magazine my story, I was raised in a Christian home. And Grandpa would always tell me, like, you don't have to be afraid. You don't have to fear. God knows what he's doing. You just need to trust. You're going to be okay. You're with us. We love you. We're going to take good care of you. And your mom will come back. And I didn't think Mom was going to come back. I thought Mom was having the life of her life in America. But she did come back for us, and she said, I saved enough money, and now I'm back to take you guys back with us. And that's what happened. I went to school in Brazil until my 8th grade, and I went to high school here. Met my husband when I was 16 years old. We started dating on and off. Then my husband decides to go on a mission for church. And now he's going to be gone for 2 years. I'm like, okay, great. Life starts getting good, and now he's gone for 2 years. What's happening here? But he had his purpose and he had his mission. So he served in a church mission for 2 years in Connecticut, and I waited for him the 2 years faithfully. And when he came back, we decided to get married. We were young, 21 years old, and at that time, I didn't feel like I had any purpose. I didn't think much. I just kept that simple life that I've always had. I didn't know how to do any different than that. But I knew that God had a plan for me, and he didn't want me to stay where I was. So we decided to get married when he came back. We were only 21 years old, and it was when my husband said, I don't want to have the same life my parents had and your parents had. What are we going to do? I have no idea. I'm only 21 years old. He has no idea. So it's like, well, we have to do something different. We're going to pray about it. We're going to, just talk to God and see what He wants us to do. So my testimony is about obedience. That when you feel that God is talking to you, you have to listen. You can't be afraid. And that's what Lisa said. Sometimes He's going to push you. He's going to get you out of your comfort zone. I was in my comfort zone. I grew up in a Christian home. I knew that if I followed Christ, if I did the right things, everything was going to be okay. Mom and Dad was there to rescue me if I needed them. But now it was just me and my husband. And we had to make our own choices. And I started going to college. He went to college, and we put ourselves through college because Mom and Dad were just working hard to give us a good life and help us go to college too. But then we looked at each other and we said, life is going to be boring if we don't decide to do anything. And I said, okay, I'll just be a mom. My sister was a mom. My brother was a father. So I'll just be a mom. He says, no, we're not ready. We're not going to bring a child to this life and not have anything and just keep on the same path that our parents went through, struggles over and over again. And then we're like, okay. So I started working, and now here's my husband. He comes to me one day and he says, we're going to China. What the heck? Where's that coming from? Like, we're going to China. Like, I'm not going to China. You can go to China. What's with China? Like, well, I feel like we have to go to China. I've always loved the language. I feel like I need to study. I don't know why, but I just feel like I need to go and I need to go. I'm like, you're crazy. Now you're losing it. I'm just going to go to my massage therapy school. I'm going to be cool. I'll be okay. And then you can go. So we stopped talking about it. And he was serious. His dad came to me and he said, your husband is serious about China. He says, you don't want to go. And he's going. I go, what do I do now? Oh, Lord. So I started praying. I'm like, is this really what you want me to do? Go to China. I don't speak the language. I know that everything is different in China. It's a culture shock. And my husband knew a little bit of Chinese. He was still learning. And I said, okay. I prayed, and that's what I felt in my heart that I needed to do. So leave everything behind. Get out of the comfort zone. I was terrified of flying. All I could think about was that 4-hour flight. I'm like, just take a deep breath and go. And the answers to my prayer was, that's your purpose. You have to follow your husband. Everything is going to be okay. To make a long story short, we went to China. It was not fun the first 6 months. It was horrible, to tell you the truth. I went through a real hard time, with the food, the language, not knowing anybody. Horrible. My husband was doing his thing. He already had a bunch of stuff planned out for him. So it was okay. So 6 months felt like 20 years. Then we came back home. I was like, goodness, we're done. Okay, God, what's my purpose? Why did I go to China? So kept on going with life. He kept on studying his Chinese, watching movies all the time, in Chinese, of course, to practice his Chinese. 3 months later, I go pick him up in school, law school. He's all happy holding a paper in his hands, and he's like, we're going to China. I'm like, what? And we're going for 1 whole year. You got to be kidding me. What happens? Like, I don't know what's going on, but God gave me this opportunity. I put myself through this scholarship that the school was giving only for 1 student for the whole law school, and I was chosen. So I know this is our purpose, and we have to go. What do I say to that? But inside of me, I was like, you got to be kidding me, God. Like, again, I already experienced it. I know what it felt like to be there for 6 months. So now I had 5 months to prepare myself before we went again, and I was obedient again. I said, okay, fine, we're going to go because now you have a full ride scholarship. What am I going to say? Everything paid for. We're good. And what's the purpose? I just don't know what the purpose is. So we went for that whole year of law school. And as soon as we came back, my husband said, and he looked at me and said, I promise you that everything is going to be okay. And we're never, ever going to have the life that my parents and your parents had. Okay, I'm with you. Let's do this. Like, but we're going to have to do great things. And we're both going to have to push ourselves. And we're going to have to believe that God will be there holding our hands and getting us through this. So that's what we did. And when we came back, he finished his law school. He had this great job at the public defender's office, a high position. Again, he looked at me and said, I'm quitting my job and we're going to open my own law firm. This guy is nuts. Now everything is starting to fall into place, and now he wants to open his own law firm. We just barely started working 1 year. It was his first year of work. And he says, I already found a place, and we're moving to Florida to be closer to my parents. And we had no money, and I'm like, oh, where's the money? We had money for one rent for 1 month. Like, we're going to make it. And that's what we did. But the beauty of this story is it was only when the Lord allowed us to open this firm that we knew we were meant to be in China, to learn Chinese, to serve the Chinese community, because coming back here, he would use our skills, our knowledge, and experience to serve them. And today, at one point of the business, 80% of our clients were Chinese. These are persecuted Christians that were in China, and they were persecuted because of their beliefs, because they wanted to walk with God and they couldn't. And now, today, all of these clients that we have, most of them, it's because they chose to follow Christ. They got hurt by the government, physically hurt. They got jailed, and they had to leave, flee their country, and come to America to live, the American dream, and be able to love God and serve God and walk with God. So now I feel that my purpose has, become true, and I feel blessed that I have been able to follow Christ and be obedient to his words and to his promises. So if any of you ever doubt and you wonder, why is the Lord sending me to China? He has a reason. He has a purpose. Just follow him and he'll get you there. Thank you.